Yes, welcome. We are going to be looking at inheritance as one of the major feature of Java programming language. Java is a very effective programming language for coding distributed and web applications because of the features of Java. And one of those features is inheritance. And we're going to use the GUI to explain what inheritance is all about. Inheritance simply means the ability of a Java code to inherit or use some methods and functions of another code or another class that has already been written, so that you don't need to write that same code again. So that is what we're going to be explaining here. Now you look at this GUI. This is a frame, a simple frame with the name my frame. And the function is this GUI works. This GUI application works as a simple calculator where you can put a number 1, you can insert another number 2. Then you can do any of these operations on the two numbers, whether it's addition, like if you put 2, you click add 2. Then when you press calculate, the answer will come out as 4. When you put something like 4 divided by, this is divide by 2, you click on calculate, the answer will come out as 2. So it does simple calculation. And for this side, if you click on, before clicking on calculate, if you click on dollars, the answer that comes out, if it is 2, it will have $sign in front. And you can perform the operation as many times as possible. If you want to do 4 divided by 2 once, you can put the slider on 1. If you want it to be done 30 times, you can scroll this slider to this point so that it can be done 30 times. So this is a GUI application that does simple addition, subtraction, or multiplication. So how can you code this application? This application, the code that enables this application to run, I'm going to upload it on our website. So just get to our website, jamwaec.neco.uni.com. So get to our website, I'll upload the complete Java code that runs this application, both the application logic and everything. But I'm going to explain the way the code was written. And as you all know, you can also follow our channel on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Tclassified.com. Tclassified.com on YouTube, so that you can follow up and see the full code that runs this GUI. So for you to run this very GUI, the first thing you do is that you're going to import, like I told us that Java is reusable, a code that has already been written as part of the API of Java. You can import it and use it for another Java class that you're writing in order for it to use such codes. So for you to use a GUI, you need to import what we call swing. And what code do you use for this? What line of code do you use? You use something like import javex.swing. This asterisk simply means that it should import every code that is inside javex.swing. You should also import java.awt.event. Event simply means when you click something like calculate, there is a logic behind this GUI that will enable the GUI to do the calculation of, say, 4 plus 2 to give you 6. So whenever you're clicking on a button and you expect the button to perform a function, then you're talking about event. So you have to import it by saying java.awt.event. Meaning that it should import everything that is under java.awt.event. Then you also have to import java.text.number format. If you want to do number format, you have to import this as well. So after doing the importing, these are the steps that you need to take in developing a GUI that functions like a calculator. This our application is much like a calculator or much like any desktop application. So it's very detailed. These are the steps that you need to take in developing something like this in Java. So make the imports, that's the number one, and that is what I've done here. In the complete code that I'm going to give you, you will see all this. You can also connect me on my number so that if you have any further question, +2347067162698. That's my phone number if you have any problem in trying to code this. So after making the import, number 2, create the class. Now in creating the class, I'm going to explain inheritance in Java GUI. To create the class for this, you say public class my app. My app is the name of the application. Extends JFrame. So whenever you use the word extends something, it simply means that you want to inherit from this. So this my application is inheriting the methods that are inside JFrame. And what is it here? If you look at this, if you're coding this, you find out that you're going to be making mention of the variables like this calculate, number, dollars, operations, perform how many times, all these things. You understand? But this frame inside which every component of the GUI is in, you don't have to code it anew because this frame has already been coded. You understand? And the code is already inside JFrame. So in order for you to have a frame, just say your class extends JFrame. So automatically this frame will come out. So you now need to code the components, the rest of the components of the GUI and their functions. So that is what we call inheritance. An application inheriting the methods that are inside another application. You understand? So this is the class you're writing. But there is already a class known as JFrame that is already in Java that you just inherit so that you don't need to start coding these minor, these are minimize, maximize, and close buttons. You don't need to recode them again because they are already in JFrame. So that's why when you want to declare this class, after making the import, you say public class my app extends JFrame. And inside there, that's where you have the rest of your code. Then the third thing you do is that you declare the variables. And what are the variables here? You see here that you have, this is what we call J button. So you have to declare J button. Maybe you can call it button 1. Then you have level, number 1 and number 2. So you have to declare J level num 1 and num 2. You have checkbox, so you have to declare J checkbox, dollars and J checkbox, commas. I had already explained this, how to identify the components of GUI in my previous class. Then this is what we call J slider. So you have to also declare J slider. You can name it anything you want. You can say slider 1. You also have to declare this radio button. So you have radio button, add, subtract, multiply, divide. So after declaring all the individual components of the GUI, the next thing you do is that you create a constructor. Constructor is simply a method that initializes the variables in a given application. And this is how you declare a constructor. Public my app, you put this bracket. The name of the constructor must be the name of the main class. So you say public my app. Once you put this like this, then you know you've declared the constructor. Then number 5 is that you define the size of your frame. If you want this frame to be bigger than this, instead of putting maybe 400 by 300, you can put maybe 400 by 800. Like I told you, I'm going to give you the full code that explains this, but I want you to get the various steps that was taken in designing it, so that when you're looking at the code, you'll be understanding. Then number 6, create the J panel that contains the component. All these components that are inside this my frame, they are already stored or kept on top of a panel known as J panel. So you have to create the J panel. Then create the components one by one. Then you start creating these components, these variables that you've declared. Create all of them and add them to the panel. Then number 8 is add action listeners and create SEM to solve the logic. After creating the GUI, in order for you to click calculate and calculation to be done, or in order for you to click anything and it will work the way you want, you have to add what we call logic behind it. That's why you code the mathematics and the calculations that are behind the frame. So you have to do that. Then after doing it, then that should be it for you to create this J-frame. So this J-frame is using a feature of Java known as inheritance, and this is a GUI, graphical user interface. And I told us in the previous class that a graphical user interface has things like J button. This calculate is a J button, J level like number 1 and number 2, J text field. This text field, this is a text field, J text field, this and this, J checkbox, J radio buttons, J slider. So those are the components of this GUI. You need to what? Declare them in your variables and also do what? Create the components. So in the full code that I'm going to be giving you in my subsequent class, which I'm also going to be uploading so that you can download and simply put it inside your notepad and start coding it. So that code I'm going to give you, we have these very steps that I've just outlined. So once you're going through the code, if you want to really understand it, you have to play this video, because the step that I've just listed is the step that will be used in coding the application. So I hope this is clear. Very, very important. Inheritance, one of the major feature of Java. In subsequent classes, we are going to be looking at polymorphism, which is another feature of Java, and how we can use it to implement codes and applications in Java. So get to Android Play Store and download our Android app so that you can follow us more on all this. Once you get to Android Play Store, get to the search of the Android Play Store. If you're using an Android phone, just type in JAM, WAEC, NECO, Uni. So search for it. Once you search for it, you see the application there. Download it, install it in your phone so that you can be following our classes. I normally update all the lectures that are lectures on Java there so that you can follow up. So you can send in your questions. If you like this video, share it and subscribe to it on YouTube. Send me your questions so that I can explain, throw more lights on this. This is a GUI, graphical user interface, that can be used in building simple applications like calculator. And I made mention of the steps used in creating a GUI like this, provided that is exhibiting the feature of inheritance. Number 1, make the imports. And I told us these are the imports that you need to make: java.swing.asterisk, java.awt.event, java.text.number format. After making the import, create the class. How do you create the class? By saying public class my app extends JFrame. Extends JFrame because this app, my app, is inheriting from JFrame. The app, my app, is inheriting from JFrame. That's why it's extending JFrame. Declare the variables. The variables are the things that you are going to use in doing your work, which are the J buttons, J radio, J checkbox, J text fields, J slider. After declaring the variable, create the constructor. This is how you create a constructor. A constructor bears the name of the application, except that it's a method. And to indicate that it's a method, you must put this bracket in front. It is used in initializing the variables. Then you have to define the size of your friend, the size you want your friend to come. You need to describe it. You need to create the J panel, that is on top of this frame that contains all these components. You need to create it. Then you need to now create this component, the actual J buttons, J text. Will create them one by one. Then you need to add action listener and create a logic that will do the calculation, so that once you click on any button, it will affect. So once you do that, and make sure that you create your main method that will enable the application to run, to execute. I told us that main method is the first method, the most important method that enables every application in Java to execute. So create this main method and run this application. You will get this, and when you click on the various buttons, you will see it functioning. This basic application is very, very useful because you're going to be using it to create much more difficult things in Java application. So hook me up and let's get on.